Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and today we're going to do a £300 build with not a single penny wasted. Keep watching to find out more. Okay, so today's video we're going to go through a build guide for those of you looking to build a PC here in the United Kingdom for around about the £300 mark. Obviously, if you're watching this video and you're in other countries, then do take that into consideration, and exchange rates and all that kind of stuff, and also stock availability. This is intended as a guide and would be something that I would personally build for that kind of money if I really couldn't stretch much further than that. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So today we're going to be using PC Part Picker, and this is a list of my component parts, and including the postage and shipping, which at the moment is £7, we've come to a total of £304.77, which I know is more than the £300 that I've just promised in the intro, but we are buying a couple of items from the same place where we can combine postage. So from eBuyer we've got £3.50 postage there, and we've got £3.50 there as well, so chances are we'll be able to combine that postage, and we'll take £3.50 off of the build, which takes us to just over £301. So I think hopefully you should be able to forgive me for that. If we take off the VAT and all that kind of stuff, then it's way under £300. But anyway, you get the general idea. So to begin with, this build is designed to be a very entry-level system, which is capable of some 720p and 1080p gaming, but also will have a little bit of longevity, i.e. upgrade path, and also doesn't look like a complete turd. It actually is going to look quite nice. We've got blacked out cables, we've got blacked out RAM, we've got some RGB going on, we've got a really tidy little case. So I'm really hoping that you guys will be really interested in this, and maybe you'll want to build this for yourselves. Obviously, if any of the items in here that you want to change, you can feel free to do so. If you need any assistance with that, we have a fantastic Discord server full of really helpful people. So if you want to come on, have a chat, chew the fat, throw some ideas around, please do join us, and the links will be in the video description. So again, with that out of the way, let's get straight into this. So first of all, we've got compatibility issues here with our PC part picker list, and this is because of potential motherboard incompatibilities. And I've already double checked this, and the board and the processor are absolutely fine. It's just one of those generic warnings you get with some of the newer generation chips on older generation boards. Our estimated wattage for the total system is 149 watts, which is way below our power supply available voltage and wattage. So if we want to do some upgrades down the line, then we are going to have a little bit of future proof. So let's go through some of the parts. Now the first one is the AMD Ryzen 3 3200G 3.6 GHz processor, quad core, 4 threads, boost clocks up to 4 GHz, and also a little bit of headroom for overclocking. And as you can see at the moment from Amazon, at the moment with Prime, £75. Now if we try and actually buy this, go onto the Amazon site, and it comes up, and as it normally does, it's more expensive than what it appears in PC Part Picker. So that's something to definitely look out for when you're going to PC Part Picker, is to actually click on the links before you speak to someone and say, yeah, I've built a PC, it's going to cost you X amount of money. Actually check that the things are in stock and available. Happily, when we've done this, so we've noticed, well, £5 dearer, that's not great. So what you can do is you can click on new and used, and this gives you a list of alternative suppliers. So at this particular point, we've now found ourselves a used in very good condition from the Amazon warehouse, and now we can get it for under £70. So we've actually saved £5. So that brings us underneath our £300 ceiling, which is excellent news. So we're pretty much on track already. So that is the processor. It's a great little processor. On board Vega 8 graphics as well, so gaming is a possibility without using a separate graphics card. But if you want to add a separate graphics card at a later date, this will still quite happily run your games and also use another graphics card. No issues at all, so off to a flying start. Next one is a motherboard. Now this is going to be bones of contention, left, right and centre. I've chosen the Gigabyte B450M DS3H, which is a micro ATX board, because this is a micro ATX build, as we are trying to save a little bit of money. Now you're probably thinking, wow, that's a low entry board, but this is where it gets interesting. If we look at the AM4 vCore VRM ratings for the Gigabyte boards on the B450 range, pretty much this board here, that is the same version, that's the Wi-Fi version, but pretty much the entire range of B450 boards from Gigabyte, even one of the X470 boards, all share pretty much identical power stage delivery. So you don't necessarily have to spend the money on the B450 Aorus Elite. Obviously if you want the extra features you can do. Again, it's up to you entirely, but essentially you're going to get pretty much the same performance even on the S2H board or the D3SH board. This is the Wi-Fi one, obviously ignore the Wi-Fi bit. But yeah, we're looking at pretty much identical performance across that range, which is excellent. So the board is going to be great, and also it's going to be a bit flexible. We will be able to put newer chips on there, so hopefully 4000 series as well, should they arrive. But this is actually a pretty decent platform and comes in at a really nice price. £66.92 from our friends here in the UK, CCL. And if you're not sure what I mean by that, you can click on one of the video links and you can find out more about CCL. But anyway, that is a really good option. You can go lower, you can go for the A320 chipsets, but as I've described in the video, which you can see up in the top right hand corner, the A320 chipset isn't always the best idea, even if you are saving potentially maybe a £10 or £15 off this price. The B450 chipset is going to allow you an element of overclocking and a bit of flexibility, and this particular board actually does have a heatsink on the VRM to allow you to push things a little bit further than you would normally. So again, another great start. We've got an M.2 port on there. We've got really actually quite an interesting setup on the board. I/O wise, we've actually got plenty of USBs, so we've got 8 USBs, 4 of which are USB 2.0, another 4 are USB 3.0 and above. We've got our DVI connector and we've got our HDMI connector for connecting up to our monitor, because we will need these for our integrated graphics. But again, if you put a separate graphics card in, then that's not going to be an issue. And also a thing I like, it's just a really simple I/O. You've got your Ethernet ports and you've got your jacks for audio, and the color-coded jacks are always a favourite of mine. You don't have to mess around in software, just literally plug in the green one, that's your headset or your speakers on the go, plug in the pink one and you're ready to use your mic. Couldn't be simpler, could it? It really is quite easy to do. And actually the board itself does look pretty nice, quite a nice layout, relatively neutral apart from the little bit of illumination here and the Gigabyte logo on there, but otherwise a very nice looking board. Again, we've got this heatsink over the VRM area. We've got an 8-port connector rather than 4 ports, and also we've got 4 RAM slots rather than the usual 2 that we get on a lot of micro ATX boards. So yeah, overall, not a bad little board. It lacks fan headers, that is a slight issue, but the case we've chosen is going to take care of all that anyway, so we don't need to worry about that. So next up we've got a RAM. Now I've gone with the Patriot Viper 4 Blackout 16 gig kit, so 2 times 8 gigs. This is going to give us an extra 2 slots on the board still available should we want to upgrade to 32 gigs. And this is a DDR4 set running at 3200 megahertz CL16, which is perfectly adequate. The chip will benefit from the extra speed, and maybe you can overclock it a little bit more if you wanted to. This comes in at the moment at just slightly over £60 in the UK from ebuyer.com, so 57.32 plus our little bit of postage. So again, this is a really nice little kit, and actually does look pretty decent and will fit in with most builds. Next up, our storage. Now I've only gone for a single drive for storage. If you want to expand this or you want to add to it, you're more than welcome to, but I've gone with the TCSUNBOW X3 drive. I've used quite a few of these and found them to be very reliable, and price wise you can't really fault it. It's just over £27 from Amazon with free shipping if you're using Prime. Now we haven't got a lot else. We've got a AEROCOOL Integrator. This is a 500 watt 80 plus bronze power supply, and it comes with those nice flat black cables which make it nice and easy to wire and also easy to hide. And it's actually not that bad a power supply. Used a couple of these before, not bad at all. Next up is the case. Now this is the kind of the crown and jewels of this particular build. So we've chosen to use the First Player DKD3. This is a black micro ATX case. It's actually a really nice little case. Now if we take a look at it, this is from eBuyer. And currently it's showing this out of stock. They are due in very soon, as I've been reliably informed. It's actually a really nice case. You've got 2 fans on the front, both RGB, and it's just a really nice little layout. And for this particular build, it's going to be perfect. Loads and loads of ventilation. Not the most cable room management in the back to wire with, but again, this is a budget case. Normally you can pick these up for around about the £40 mark. Again, you also get an additional RGB fan in the back also. One of our regular contributors on Discord, Seam at Night, has actually built in one of these and said it wasn't too bad at all. Quite enjoyed the build and it looks pretty decent. We've got a basement area here for power supply and for hiding wires, etc. And you've got a nice open section here for putting your motherboard in. Big backplate space for access to custom coolers if you choose to use one. Although for this particular setup we won't need to, because the Ryzen 3 3200G comes with its own integrated cooler, which is going to be sufficient. And again, with all this airflow coming in from the front, it should keep things rather cool. So a fantastic little case. You can use full-size power supplies in there, and you've got a little bit of headroom for adding extra drives. What more could you ask for? Looks nice and is pretty cheap. And price-wise, the last price that we've seen on eBuyer.com was £41.46, and that was including postage of £3.50, so £37.97 plus a bit of postage, which I think is fantastic value for money. So that pretty much wraps up the system. There's not really anything else that you could realistically change to make the price better and actually get more performance. I think for the money, we're pretty much bang on. Motherboard wise, you may want to change that for a slightly different model and maybe save some money here, spend some money on the CPU. But I think pretty much we've shaved off as much as we possibly can without getting into kind of not making sense buying the parts. An A320 board I don't think is going to make sense with this setup, and also is going to limit your options going forward. The RAM I think is again another one of those star things where for £60 for 16 gigs is fantastic value for money, and Patriot Viper is good RAM, looks nice, all that kind of stuff. Obviously we haven't included things like a monitor or any software or any additional storage. You can obviously add that if you want to. I will post links to this particular PC part picker build so you can edit it to your heart's content and do whatever you want and see what works for you. But I think overall for £305.77, possibly with the reduction if we go for a warehouse deal on the processor and maybe save a little bit of postage from eBuyer, I think this is a very, very nice little build. And because it's RGB, chances are if you're building it to sell on somewhere like Facebook Marketplace or to another customer or whatever, I think they're going to be pretty pleased with what they get, and when they turn it all on, all the lights flashing, that they're going to absolutely love it. So there we go, there is our £300 or nearly £300 build. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about it? What would you change? Is there anything in there particularly that stands out that you would absolutely hate and not go with? Would you maybe prefer to see a case without any fans and maybe go for something like the Ions KZ10, which we reviewed recently? Just over £20, then you can add your own custom fans rather than using the RGB ones that we've seen in this build. Maybe that's an option for you. I was going to include it, but I think most people would like to see a case with some fans and a little bit of RGB, if at all possible. So like I said, let me know what you think in the comments section below. In the meantime, I've been Mike, this is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.